This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
It's 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, and what do you know? You have found yourself smack dab in the zone on a Wednesday morning. I think a perfect day to have a little therapy. What do you say, Wolves fans? Holy moly. What did we watch? What did we see last night at Target Center? We'll spend a good chunk of these 3 hours breaking it down. I am certainly not Paul Allen. Some might even call me the anti-Paul Allen, though he's a good friend. I'm Dave Sinykin, the head cheese, sitting in today for PA, who, as you may know, is off to Colorado to celebrate the graduation of his daughter. He's out the rest of the week. I'm in today and Friday. Russo in tomorrow to give the basketball a rest for a day. Double T should be joining at any moment as we will attempt to break down what we saw, what went down at the Big Bullseye last night downtown. Just an absolute head-scratching affair as the Timberwolves could not hit the broadside of a barn. Didn't make a three in the first half, even though they chucked up 15 of them. Anthony Edwards' first made jumper happened with less than 3 minutes left in the game. Where do we begin? Why don't we begin with the head coach? As Double T gets the headset on and gets ready to rock, let's listen to Chris Finch talk about the offensive difficulties, the offensive performance. This is head coach Chris Finch right after the game.
Poor spacing, terrible rhythm, didn't make the next pass a lot of times. Really poor in transition. I think that's where we kind of cost ourselves the chance to stay in the game early. We had opportunities to run out, and just our transition decision-making was diabolical. Obviously then we couldn't hit a shot, but I didn't like the fact that we couldn't repeatedly generate good shots, and then we should have been able to.
I love the fact that he used the word diabolical. You don't hear that too often in a coach's press conference. As we welcome in my partner on In the Zone for the last 30-plus years on this station, kind enough to come in on a hump day, the day after the carnage at Target Center. We'd like to call him the professor of hoopology, Double T, Trent Tucker. Good morning.
Good morning, Davey. You don't feel too good this morning, huh?
You got some time to maybe remind them what a three-point shot going through the basket looks like? Because you made a few in your time. Yeah. What was that last night?
Well, this team, as you and I talked over the last month or so about playoff basketball and matchups that we thought that the Wolves could take advantage of. I thought the Lakers were a perfect matchup for this team.
Yeah.
And Golden State is one of the teams that concerned me. And the reason they concerned me is because they have a motion offense. They're not a stationary offense. They don't have one guy who pounds the ball and goes one-on-one and exhausts the shot clock down to 8-9 seconds before they take a shot. And based on how the Wolves are constructed, from a starting five standpoint, it's difficult for them when a team moves the ball 4, 5, and 6 times. They lose sight of shooters. You saw Buddy Hield make a pass last night. All of a sudden, he sprinted, 40 feet to the other side, and whomever was guarding him turned to watch the basketball. He had no sight where he was at. So I think, a motion offensive team, kind of puts the Wolves in a scramble from a defensive standpoint where they just can't lock in and lock you down. And Golden State presents that problem for them. But offensively, they can't play a fast game. I thought they were trying to get up and down the floor too fast. They was taking too many three-point shots. And that played right into the hand of the Golden State Warriors. You were never able to use your size and your strength to work over a smaller team because you had the wrong game plan.
So let's start with kind of as the game was set to tip off, the thought process was, here are the Wolves, rested 6 days since they dispatched the Lakers, 6 days to get their breath back, to prepare, though they didn't know who they were preparing for, obviously, until a day or two before the game, but just to kind of get set, time to relax, time to recharge their batteries. Meanwhile, the old, short-benched Warriors were coming off a grueling 7-game series where they needed their top 5 to basically play the entire game to knock off Houston. Then less than 48 hours later, they're here. We go from Houston directly here to get set for the new series. Conventional wisdom says, okay, yeah, rust versus rest. We all understand all that. But advantage Wolves, to have 6 days to kind of rest your bodies versus these 30-something guys having to recharge and go. So is it dangerous for teams to have that much rest? Because look at OKC. They had a week plus off. Granted, they were in control of their first game until they blew it at the end, but they lost their opener too after a long layoff. Is that a problem sometimes for teams?
It can be, but in this situation, most teams and most guys at this level are used to playing every other day. But it didn't come down to that.
No.
What kind of game plan are you going to draw up to offset what the Golden State Warriors do well? If you want to make this a 3-point shooting contest, but then you're going to put yourself behind the 8 ball. The Wolves, they take a lot of threes, and when they make them, they're good. But we know this is not one of your better this is not a really, really good 3-point shooting team. They can make some threes, and we've seen in the last 2 games, especially closing out the Lakers, and also in last night's game, they could not knock down a 3-point shot. What allowed them to win against the LA Lakers? They had a game plan where they could use their size and strength to work over a smaller team. They're going to have to do the same thing against the Golden State Warriors. They're going to have to take their legs away. Julius Randle is going to have to play a little bit closer and much closer to the basket, because when he does that, Jimmy Butler can't defend him. But if he pops out at 18 and 19 and 20 feet, he's not going to consistently beat Jimmy Butler off the dribble. That's not going to happen. And all of a sudden now you are forced into taking tough jump shots. That's a low percentage shot. And when those shots don't go in, whether Golden State is shooting 35% or 55%, they're going to get the opportunities because now they're going to get out in transition. And when a team that likes to shoot 3-point shots, that's where you find them in transition. Mm-hmm. And the bigger, slower Wolves will have a much tougher time trying to match up with a team that likes to play fast in the open court.
To your point, last 2 games now for your Wolves, 12 for 76 from deep. Mm-hmm. That's a record. That's a record of futility in playoff basketball in the NBA. And, credit the Warriors, who are as good a defensive team as there is in basketball, basically daring the Wolves to shoot them. They go to that 1-3-1 zone and said, we're going to clog up the middle. We're not going to let Ant just have his way. We're not going to let your big guys finish like we saw them do against the Lakers. We're going to just sit out here in the zone, let you guys move the ball around and see if you can make some shots. And
you have to attack the zone defense by getting the ball into the middle of the floor.
Yeah.
Because when you get the ball into the middle of the floor of a zone defense, now you force the zone to collapse. But if you're going to stay perimeter and you don't have a bunch of guys that can knock down outside jump shots at a high percentage, well, then you're going to find yourself in a very tough matchup.
We've hit the headline, the inability of the Wolves offensively to get anything going. Let's head to the sub-headline next, because the obviously big story coming out of this game is the injury to Steph Curry, who went down after 13 minutes of action. He had 13 points doing things that Steph does, grabs his hamstring, exits, does not return, and already not expected to play tomorrow night, and MRI today to determine the severity of that injury. Very simple question. If Steph Curry misses the rest of this series, do the Warriors have a chance against the Wolves?
Yeah, they do.
I'm not so sure.
If they play the wrong way, they do.
If the Wolves play the wrong way.
Right. Even with Steph Curry, if they play the right way, you have to make a smaller team that wants to play in the open floor defend you deep into the shot clock. When the Wolves play fast against a smaller team, now that opens up the things that Golden State likes to do. They want to get up 100 shots if they can. They may not shoot a high percentage, but the more chances and the more looks they get at the basket favors what they like to do offensively. So the Wolves are going to have to figure out how to play offensive basketball against this team and get the tempo that they need to play at to get to the next round. But last night, they were playing like they were on in the park. You take a three-point shot, I take a three-point shot. Those shots had no chance of going in. Run your offense. Make them play defense. You have a small team. Julius Randle on the inside is a much more difficult matchup for the Golden State Warriors. But if he stays perimeter, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, Gary Payton III, they can stay in front of you. You're not going to just beat them on a straight line because they can move their feet well enough. And they're going to force you now to take a tough fall away, a tough turnaround shot. And you saw so many times last night is that when some of the Wolves players was trying to beat them off the dribble, they forced them to pick up their dribble and take a tough fall away shot. And all of a sudden now the court is wide open. And that's the way Golden State wants to play. They don't want to play pretty much a half-court game. Mm-hmm. They want to play a full-court game. And if you are going to sit back and play the way that they want you to play, they're going to make it hard for you to beat them.
One of the big storylines heading into the series, of course, was the bad blood, mainly between Wolves fans and Jimmy Butler, and certainly Draymond Green, and how would that all play out? It still remains to be seen. It's one game out of potentially 7, but hard to argue that the two best players on the court last night were Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green.
Buddy Hield.
And Buddy Hield in the second half. Yeah, I mean, he was 0 for 8 in the first half, and then he was outstanding in the second half, as he was in Game 7 in their win over the Rockets. I want to focus on Green for a second because, I mean, we've watched this guy play forever, and he's probably a Hall of Famer, right? I mean, I would think he's a borderline Hall of Famer. I always go to Ben Wallace. If Ben Wallace is a Hall of Famer, so is Draymond Green. But I think Green just showed, again, last night, when Steph Curry unexpectedly is no longer available, someone's got to be the big boy out there to set everything up. And not that Butler doesn't do that really well as well. Mm-hmm. They both were close to triple-doubles. Draymond ended up with 22, 8, and 6, and had 4 threes early when the Wolves couldn't buy one. He was able to keep their offense afloat by knocking. I mean, the Wolves basically dared him to shoot threes,
well,
as
have to.
Every team does, right?
But it's okay. His shots don't. That's not the major concern, because you prefer to have Draymond Green taking the shots more so than Steph Curry or Jimmy Butler.
100%.
It's how the Wolves are going to play. This is about how the Wolves are going to attack the Golden State Warriors. You know how Golden State wants to play. And you saw when they got up on Draymond Green in the second half, he didn't make any shots. You know, Gobert blocked a couple shots, I think. Jay McDaniel may have got his hand on a shot. This is about, okay, Chris Finch, how are you going to play against the Golden State Warriors? Are you going to be able to use your size to your advantage to work over a smaller team or not? Or if you're going to play small ball and play the way that the Golden State Warriors wants to play. And if you play the way they want to play, they're going to make it hard for you to beat them. Steve Kerr played 11 guys in the first half because all of a sudden he says, wow, this is the game that we want to play. Steph Curry's going to take three-point shots at half court. Buddy Hield can run around and take all the shots he want to take. They have guys who are three-point shooters. They may not make a whole lot on every night, but that's the way they want to play. And if they can invite you into that type of style of basketball, they make it difficult for you to beat them.
Best of 7 series is all about how you correct, how you make changes, and that's going to be on the Wolves coaching staff to get their act together and figure out what it's going to take for Game 2 tomorrow night. We're just getting started. You're in the zone on a Wednesday. PA out, Sinykin and Tucker in. Welcome your input. This feels like a therapy Wednesday. We'll take calls if you were at the game, if you were watching the game. Your thoughts, welcome. 800-320-5326. Would love to get some talkbacks on the iHeart app. We'll play those. You know the drill. Go to the app, click on the microphone. You've got up to 30 seconds to vent. We'll do that as well. And obviously the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, always available, 646 866. Double T is with me in studio until 11 o'clock today. Britt Robson will join at 11:20 for his perspective on what he saw at Target Center last night. It's going to be pretty basketball intense, as you might expect, the morning after the devastation at Target Center last night. Just getting rolling. Glad to have you along for the ride. You are in the zone on the Fan.
Before we go, the Fan and BigDeck.com. I'm going to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Head to KFAN.com. The keyword is money. The keyword is money. KFAN.com. Keyword money.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Hi, this is Javon, your Blinds.com design consultant.
Oh, wow. A real person.
Yep. I'm here to help with everything from selecting the perfect window treatments to...
Well, I've got a complicated project.
No problem. We make the complex simple. I can even help schedule a professional measure and install.
I didn't realize you did that.
We can also send you samples fast and free.
Wow. I always thought I needed a designer to come to my home, but scheduling's always a nightmare.
Not with Blinds.com. We're on your schedule. And there's no haggling, pressure, or hidden fees either.
I just might have to do more.
Whatever you need. How about you tell me what you had in mind?
Okay, then. So the first room we're looking at is for guests coming over, and I'm thinking of something...
Blinds.com has covered over 25 million windows, all backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Shop Blinds.com now and get up to 50% off with minimum purchase. Rules and restrictions may apply.
More in the zone. If you want to chime into what's happening in your favorite KFAN shows, you can make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. So let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That is 64686. Standard text message and data rates apply.
Have you ever sat and tried to figure out what's it all about?
All right, we're back. 9:21 on a Wednesday morning. You're in the zone on a Wednesday with Double T and Dave Sinykin in for PA today as we break down what went down at Target Center last night, a 99-88 Golden State win. They take game one. Double T, for the first time in NBA playoff history, all 4 home teams lose game one of the conference semifinal round. That's stunning. What? There's no answers for that, but what do you think plays into that? Now, a lot of it was last second stuff. Like OKC was in control of that game, and they
Boston was in control of their game.
And say exact same 20-point lead over the Knicks.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
They stopped playing. They thought the game was over. And we all know that if there's a tenth of a second left, you still have a chance.
Well, you definitely proved that to the point where they had to change the rules. All right, let's start with the elephant in the room. The performance by Anthony Edwards last night was almost shocking to watch. Now, look, he had 14 rebounds. He was working hard defensively. It's not like he was lollygagging it out there. But 2 consecutive games now, we have seen Anthony Edwards really struggle offensively. His head coach was not happy with he didn't pass the eye test from the start of the game. Here's Coach Finch on Ant right after last night's game.
What is there to talk about? I mean, you're the leader of the team, and you got to come out and set the tone, in all ways that happens. And if your shot's not going, you still have to carry the energy, So I don't think there's, if I got to talk to guys about having the right energy coming into opening second round game, then, we're not on the same page.
I like that he goes right at it and doesn't couch it, doesn't make excuses. He's like, that's our guy. And everybody plays off what they see from our guy. And it just, from the opening tap, it looked like Golden State was much more happy to be there, much more ready to play, much more energized.
They understood the moment.
And it seems like Ant and the Wolves weren't. And that's just, I think for fans, it's hard to wrap your head around it, right? This whole, we're knocking down legends one round at a time, and now here comes Steph and Butler, and it's our chance to add more pelts to the wall. And you feel like the players are going to play off of that mindset. And it just looked like from the start, offensively, they just weren't ready to compete, and it starts with number 5.
No doubt about it. I mean, your best player has to be ready to go, but we are hoping that we're not seeing a pattern here. You go back to Game 7 in Denver a year ago. He wasn't there. He didn't have the greatest Western Conference run with the Dallas Mavericks a year ago as well.
Right.
And you go to Game 5 in L.A., the same type of effort and energy was there also, even though he picked up some stats here or there. And then last night, is this a concern? You're hoping that in these big moments, your best player can be at his best. And the coach said it right. You may not be shooting the ball well because, your offense is 50-50, but from an effort standpoint, if I got to talk to you about your energy and your effort at this time of the year, that's a major concern.
Yeah,
that's a major concern.
It is, and it just feels like, how can that even be possible? We watch Ant play since October. We never have that concern with him. That's not his game. He's a killer. I mean, he wants to get out there and play and knock you into submission. Stan Van Gundy couldn't get over this last night. He kept talking about it. Anthony Edwards' first made jumper last night, came with less than 3 minutes left in the game. I can't wrap my head around that statistic, that we watched him play for 40 minutes before he made a shot that wasn't going to the basket.
Because he wasn't in the game last night mentally. He was not there. He was not there. I mean, you could see it from the start. He's not there. And when he's not there from the start, you see 5 for 20s. You see an 0-for-11 night against the Lakers from the three-point line. And the Wolves have been fortunate in some of these, big playoff games over the last few years that collectively the team has been able to rise above when he has not been at his best to win critical games. But as you go deeper into the playoffs, you need your best player to be energized and engaged. Actually, he may not play well offensively, but I can't be talking to him about his energy and his effort. I can't do that.
Let's hear from Ant shortly after the game as he faced the media. Got a couple of short sound bites from Ant. Let's just Brett Blakemore. Let's just play him back to back real quick.
People gonna try to blame whatever, blame whoever. They can blame me. I just didn't play good enough. I got everywhere I wanted to get, just couldn't finish. I think that was the only thing. I got everything I was looking for in the first half here. Just couldn't finish. When you lose a game, it's always somebody got this, somebody got that, this is the reason you lost. And I don't really look at all that. I just look at every last one of us got to play better individually, including myself. And we'll see how it go. We can't blame. It's a team game, man. We just got to play better individually and see what it do for us.
He had 1 point in the first half, and it wasn't like he was just shooting threes in the first half. He couldn't finish in the first half. Remember that one sequence where he got to the basket and missed just an absolute layup, and then he gets the offensive rebound and just tries to lay it in and leaves it short from like a foot? At that point, I'm thinking, something's wrong. I mean, grab that and slam it. What is going on? Was it just in his head at that point that it's just nothing's happening the right way offensively?
Well, I mean, like I said, the energy level was not there, and you could see it. His energy was not where it needed to be.
But how do you,
in an important game like this,
how do you explain that? You've been waiting 6 days to play. You got Steph Curry in the house.
What's your activities during the day? What are you doing during the day to get yourself prepared to play?
I'm guessing he was gaming. If I had to guess, that's what he likes to do.
Because, when your energy is that low, evidently something is taking place during the day where you didn't prepare yourself the right way. That's the only thing I can think of. Okay? No. And there's some nights where you can just have off nights. I get that. But for a guy who is that talented and a guy who's that good and plays with a motor that he has, I've seen his energy level over the last 2 games at critical times not being where it needs to be at. And so you wonder if, do I need to prepare myself better during the day to get ready for critical games like this? Because the deeper you go, the harder it becomes. And the Golden State Warriors are going to play hard just about every single possession. They may not play well, but they're going to give you an effort. You may beat them, but they're going to come out with an effort. And now they came to Minneapolis to do what they needed to do. they needed to win one game to give them a chance to win this series on the road. They knew that. And they played much harder last night. They were more engaged. And at some point in time, I think you're going to have to take a step back and say, how did the Golden State Warriors and what did they do during the regular season to beat the Wolves 3 out of 4 times? What did they do? They didn't have Jimmy Butler.
No. These are all early in the season.
So what did they do? How did we play against this team throughout the regular season to allow them to have a 3-1 advantage? And I think that's where it starts at. But your best player has to bring a certain amount of energy and effort every single day. He has to set the tone from that. And we can beat this over the head. Offense comes and goes. But your energy and effort has to be consistent. I played with the best player that I believe to ever play the game, and Michael Jordan. And we played the New York Knicks in 1993 in the Eastern Conference Finals. And Michael Jordan did not have a great offensive game. And if you looked at the stat line, you would have thought that the Knicks won by 20. But there's going to be a time where your teammates can bail you out in the game here or there. We bailed him out that day, and we won by 20. So we get in the locker room, and when the game is over, and Phil was about to talk, and Mike said, now I'm not comparing anybody to Michael Jordan, but Mike told Phil, I need the floor for a second. He looked at every guy on the team and said, I owe you one. You guys bailed me out today. In game 4, he got 55. Anthony Edwards needs to bounce back in game number 2.
I don't need 55 from Ant,
but he needs to bounce back.
But 40 wouldn't be bad.
He needs to bounce back.
Yeah.
He needs to put the pressure on Golden State where they can feel his presence. He needs to bounce back in game number 2. Game number 2 is his game.
Obviously, you mentioned you played with MJ for a season. You played with Patrick Ewing for about 10. So you always had an alpha superstar type player. Was it always that the team I'm not talking about a game in December, but come playoff time when the pressure's ratcheted up, did you find that most nights everything flowed from how Ewing was performing or how he was, what his vibe was? Same with MJ in that last season. Is that the way
they set the tone? I mean, like I said, they're going to have an off game here or there. We know that. But their energy and their effort was consistent. And they found ways to do other things to help you win. But when your energy is low, we saw a lack of energy last night. The energy was low. And that's a concern when your best player cannot provide that type of energy.
Especially in your own house with 20,000 rabid fans wearing white T-shirts, just waiting to explode. Just waiting days for this moment that you can't even feed off that a little bit. If you need it, you shouldn't need it. But if you got that in your back, it's not like you were at Golden State and it's game 1 and you just couldn't shoot and they ran you off the court. You're on your own court. And then their best player, the heartbeat of their team goes out 13 minutes in, and suddenly Draymond Green is channeling number 30 for the next. It's mind-boggling.
And it wasn't like the Golden State Warriors was lights out. They got extra possessions.
They ended up shooting 39% for the game, just like the Wolves.
And how many offensive rebounds did they get?
18, I think.
There you go.
Yeah.
How many second chance opportunities did they get? Because it was energy and effort. It wasn't like they came down and they shot 65% for the game.
Nope.
They were struggling, but they made the effort and energy plays. But game number 2 is Anthony Edwards' game. He's going to have to put his stamp right from the opening tap. He's going to have to force and put Golden State in a situation where they feel his presence time and time again. Game 2 is a really, really big game.
Well, it's the season. And, they're favored by 10 points. And I think I'm not going to call it loser-proof because I watched what I watched last night. But this is the kind of game where you reset. And without Curry, it's going to be difficult to expect the Warriors to come out knowing mission accomplished. They got their split.
Play hard.
Of course, they're well coached. They've got pros.
Right.
I understand that.
So they're thinking, hey, you know what? See, we have a mindset over here that, we don't have our best player, but we still believe that we can beat you if you don't play the right way. And after you talk about, Anthony Edwards, but I think a bigger point comes to what kind of game plan are you going to play against this team? Because there's a reason why they beat you 3 out of 4 times.
No, it's a great point for sure.
And now you're going to have to counter that and bring something different to the table to offset what they're doing to you on the defensive end.
All right, we'll pause here. I got a bunch of texts I want to throw out at UTT as the Rubes are chiming in. Much more on this one. The Wolves lose game 1, 99-88. Can't hit the broadside of a barn. Game 2 tomorrow night at Target Center. We'll continue to break it down. Welcome your input as always. You're in the
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Hi, this is Javon, your Blinds.com design consultant.
Oh, wow. A real person.
Yep. I'm here to help with everything from selecting the perfect window treatments to...
Well, I've got a complicated project.
No problem. We make the complex simple. I can even help schedule a professional measure and install.
I didn't realize you did that.
We can also send you samples fast and free.
Wow. I always thought I needed a designer to come to my home, but scheduling's always a nightmare.
Not with Blinds.com. We're on your schedule. And there's no haggling, pressure, or hidden fees either.
I just might have to do more.
Whatever you need. How about you tell me what you had in mind?
Okay, then. So the first room we're looking at is for guests coming over, and I'm thinking of something...
Blinds.com has covered over 25 million windows, all backed by a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Shop Blinds.com now and get up to 50% off with minimum purchase. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Zone on the Fan.
Carboni's Pizza wants to fuel your playoff party. Visit one of their 30-plus locations to enjoy delicious pizza and get ready for a playoff run. Find your nearest Carboni's today at carbonispizza.com.
Tonight I knew I'd be looking tight.
We are back. 9:40. You are in the zone on a Wednesday. PA out the rest of the week. Double T kind enough to join me from 9 to 11 this morning as we break down what went down at Target Center last night. You mentioned in the first segment that Steve Kerr went 11-12 deep in the first half. Finchie stuck with his 8-man rotation. Even Nickeil Alexander-Walker didn't get his usual minutes, didn't make a basket, went 0 for 2. But he dabbled with Terrence Shannon Jr. for 2 minutes. That's all he got. I know it's the playoffs. I understand it's a whole different deal. And if you look beyond the 8 guys, we like the depth on this team. We like the bench. Mm-hmm. But, do you trust Shannon, Clark, Dillingham, Garza? Would you have, we've got a few texts on this one. Would you have gone to the bench to try to shake things up a little bit, even though that the stakes are so much higher and most of these guys haven't played in weeks? Would you have just thrown the dice and said, let's throw these second unit in and see what they can do?
Not because they're small players. And so I'm bringing these guys in to play the same way that the guys who are on the floor are playing. And that's playing in the hands of Golden State. Naz Reid and Julius Randle, they're going to have to use their size. We got to figure out now how to get them closer to the basket where they can force the Golden State Warriors to have to defend them at the rim. Golden State is not a big team. They bring in Kevon Looney, but he is not someone that's a major shot blocker. Naz Reid, Julius Randle, those guys, they have the ability to play with their backs to the basket. And each team presents a different matchup, and you have to make those adjustments. And the Wolves have the personnel to make those adjustments. That's why this could be a good playoff basketball team, because they have guys that can play different ways. But if you decide that you're going to be a three-point shooting team against this team, you play right into their hands. You're not forcing them to have to change what they do on the defensive end is because now you're giving them everything that they want you to do from an offensive standpoint to help their defense to become good.
I want to ask you about Rudy, but it looks like we have a call on that subject as well. So let's see first what Andrew in Detroit Lakes has on his mind on a Wednesday morning. Andrew, you're in the zone. Good morning.
I got to tell you guys, I know it's not Saturday morning, but hearing your guys' voices on a Wednesday morning, just even after a loss, still makes the guy kind of feel pretty good. So I appreciate you guys handling this Wednesday.
Appreciate it.
Feels good. But Double T, you are exactly right. Not like anybody's surprised by that, but when it comes to a basketball take, but what have we said coming into the Lakers series and now this series especially? We have the size advantage. And what did we do last game against Lakers? Even though we lost, we won, but what did we do? We missed 43s, but what did we also do for the first time in that series? We utilized Rudy Gobert. And just so happens that when he gets the ball and gets easy buckets and gets lobs and is engaged, he's also going to be pulling down 24 rebounds for you as well. He did not see the ball hardly at all. Jaden McDaniels was one of the few guys on our team that has the size advantage and was consistently playing inside. When we sit there and settle for threes and go 0 for 17, 0 for 18 in the first half, when is it going to mature in these guys' mind that we have the size advantage? We're playing right into their hands. They're not having to run as much. They're supposed to be wore down. Let's play inside out. Let's wear them down on the inside. Make them have to rebound against our tall trees where they have the disadvantage. When we're shooting threes and there's these large kickouts, it's an easier chance for them to get the offensive rebound. Play inside out early, beat them down, wear them out, and then when they start kicking down and starting to help on defense on that inside with a double, now the open threes are there. But the Lakers series, the last game, they were even open threes. We were just missing them, but they changed and went inside. That's what they need to do in this series. Play inside, play them down low, beat them up with Jaden, Julius, and Rudy, and then the Conleys, DiVincenzo's, and Ant's threes will be a lot more wide open and give us a better chance for an offensive rebound as well.
Appreciate the call, Andrew. The number of texts. The number of texts follow that too. 507 guy. What's the reason behind the lack of minutes for Rudy in the second and third quarter? Shooting obviously wasn't going to be our advantage last night. Why not use our size? When he was in the game, he was getting rebounds and drawing fouls. 26 minutes for Rudy last night, 11 rebounds, 4 for 7 from the floor. A best of 7 series is all about adjustments. You have to think the coaching staff's going to look at how Golden State plays, how that game went, and realize, there's some issues when Rudy's out there defensively, when he's out on top of the floor and Draymond can do whatever he wants to get around him or shoot over him, whatever. The Wolves need his presence against this team. As we talk about adjustments, that has to be an adjustment they make.
Well, those adjustments should have been made
at halftime
before game number 2.
Yeah, or
they should have been made before game number 1.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason this team, like I said before, there's a reason this team beat you 3 out of 4 times. And when Golden State became, your opponent for the second round, you pull those tapes out and you say, okay, what did we do good and what did we do bad? And what allowed them to be so effective against us in 3 out of the 4 games we played? So now we have to come up in game 1 with the game plan that's going to give them a different look. And we're going to use our size. And like the caller just mentioned, we're going to play inside to outside. Now, the 3-point shots against the Lakers just didn't fall, but they got very good looks. You have to force that defense to collapse. And when that defense collapses, that's when you can get some easier and open looks. It's hard to come down and play one-on-one basketball and shoot long 3-point shots consistently because that becomes a very low percentage shot. The Wolves have the personnel to play inside to hurt this team because they don't have rim protectors. But if I've said this, I know to acknowledge them this morning, if they want to play a 3-point shooting game, this thing could end very quickly for them.
Yeah, this is not the Lakers. This is a different team. You must attack them differently. We talked about it during the break, that one play. So the Wolves are making their little comeback and get it down to single digits for a minute before a 5-point spurt ends that. When Rudy backed down Butler down low and just jammed it over him. I could almost hear every Wolves fan and see them putting their arms up in the sky like, finally, like, where has that been? Feed him, Get them in foul trouble. Take your advantage right there. Jimmy Butler on Gobert down low, that's a mismatch. And that was like the one time they went that way. And we saw how effective it was in their previous game when shots weren't falling. It just doesn't feel like it's rocket science.
I think the Wolves was making a run, and Anthony Edwards took a bad three-point shot. And Golden State scored 6 straight.
Yeah.
Game's over. See, that's where the mindset comes in. Okay, now we're making a run. We got some energy back in the game. We got it down maybe to 9 or 10. Now let me attack the basket because they're back on their heels. You get downhill now and get to the basket. Maybe get an and one type of opportunity. It's a 7-point ball game with maybe 3 or 4 minutes to go. It's a lifetime still left to play. But you take a bad, quick 3-point shot, a long rebound comes out. They score on the other end. They score 6 straight. Now, a 10-point lead now is back to 16, or 8-point lead now is back to 14. You're not coming back from that. And mentally, I think the Wolves are going to have to become a little bit a much tougher team, especially against Golden State, because they are not going to back down. But the game plan is going to have to change as well. You're going to have to use your size and your strength against a smaller basketball team.
Got a number of texts that have come in with this theme about Anthony Edwards. This is from 651 texter at the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, 64686. Ant's seeming lack of interest in playing better last night is why we will likely lose this series. Edwards' immaturity is his biggest weakness. He has the talent and the opportunity to be up there with the greats of the NBA, but his focus on basketball appears to come and go, which is frustrating to watch and simply a damn shame. I don't know that I've felt that way watching, 90 games this season with the Wolves. But last night felt different. Like, yes, he played hard defensively. He got 14 rebounds. He worked defensively, but when the shot wasn't falling early, it's just like he didn't know what to do about it and didn't work to get everybody else fired up. It was just a really odd vibe he put out.
Game 2 is a big game for him.
Yeah.
This is, the season is on the line right now.
No doubt.
Golden State, they may have sent Steph Curry home after he went down last night in the first quarter, whatever it may be. They got a private jet for him out of Signature and sent him home last night to get 24-hour around-the-clock treatment to see if they can get that hamstring ready to go for either game 3 or 4 back in San Francisco. But, big-time players, when they have an off game in a game 1 type situation, they have to be able to bounce back with a big game in game 2. They have to reset the tone. And this is the time that Anthony Edwards now has to reset the tone for his basketball team.
701 texter, let's face it, Wolves fans and media vastly underrated Golden State. Before it's said and done, we'll realize Houston was a lot better than people thought, and LA was a lot worse than people thought. We batted around who would we rather face, Golden State or Houston. I was pretty frontal that I said what tips it for me is home court advantage. I'd rather play a team knowing I could have a game 7 at home. I understand Golden State's got 3 potential Hall of Famers, but Houston's youth, depth, physical defense, I thought might be a problem. Then we watched what we watched last night and go, oh yeah, those guys know how to turn it up. And I think not to be lost is Finchie completely outcoached J.J. Redick. That's not a big shocker. This was Redick's first go in the playoffs, and he made a lot of mistakes on how he addressed that series. You're not going to outcoach Steve Kerr. I mean, this is a guy that's, an all-time great as a coach and took what Mark Jackson built and turned it into a dynasty. So it's on the coaches, too, to figure out how to unlock this team. This is a big pressure moment for this coaching staff, how they respond.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one matchup that I was concerned about. And I mentioned to you that a couple of weeks ago. Golden State presents a different challenge because they can lure you into playing the way that they want to play. Because today's game is about 3-point shooting. And that's what they do well. That's what they have built their success on over the last, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And when they get you to play the way that they want you to play, it puts them in a great situation to win. So now, as you mentioned, the coaching staff, what kind of game plan will you come up with in game number 2 that's going to put your team in the best possible position to win? Because and we can talk about this for the next 48 hours. You have to be able to use your size advantage to make them pay. And if you don't, it's going to be a tough haul for you.
Joe texted in something I had on my mind as I was watching the game last night. He wrote, I think Ant is injured. He doesn't have the elevation like we've come to know from him. I saw him clutch his ankle, too, which I saw as well. I wonder if the ankle is lingering from the Lakers series. He looks like a guy doing his best to hide or protect an injury. I would not at all be surprised if we find out that there is something physically going on with that ankle, because he did reach for it early in the game, and I saw it and I thought, I got to watch how's he looking, because we've seen all season there are times where he doesn't finish well. Like he goes hard, he crashes to the ground, he's screaming, hey, looking for the foul call and doesn't get it. But what we've seen the last couple games, I think, has gone beyond what we're typically used to. The idea that ankle might be bugging him, I think, could be a real thing. We may not ever find out, but I wouldn't at all be surprised if he was dealing with something.
Well, everybody's hurt this time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's beat up. But
if you're a guy that uses elevation, your athleticism to give you that big edge, and that ankle doesn't allow you to have that, that is going to impact what you could do, obviously.
Everybody's hurt. I don't know if he is hurt and if the injury is impacting his performance on the floor, whether he needs to tell his team that.
And maybe he did. Who knows, right?
But he can't. If he can't perform up to the level that we need for him to perform at because he's injured or he's hurt, he has to let his team know that, so that they can make different adjustments and make a plan to play without him. Because if I'm counting on you, to be a 35-point scorer and you are not physically able to do it because you're injured, well, then I can't put you on the floor. I can't put you on the floor because you're not going to do me any good if I'm going to give you all of these possessions and you are not able to perform at that level because something is physically wrong with you. If there's something wrong with him physically, he needs to let the team know so that they can make adjustments accordingly. And that's what it comes down to. But right now, if he's on the floor and he's going to play 35, 40 minutes and he's going to be still our main feature offensively, we are going to expect for him to play at a certain level. And that's just the nature of the game.
651 texture. I'm curious why it seems no one's addressing the elephant in the room. It appears to me that Chris Finch, as much as he's accomplished, seems to fall short preparing his team tactically and continue to tap their potential. How much is his responsibility to keep Ant ready?
Well, we talked about the game plan. Okay, what's the game plan here? There's a reason why Golden State beat you 3 out of 4 times. So you can look at the film and figure out, okay, what kind of game plan do I need to come up with now to offset what they did to us during the regular season so that we can attack them from different ways and different angles and force them to defend us differently? And how can we use what we bring to the table from a size advantage to put us in the best position to win? And that's what it comes down to. Yeah, coaches have to make adjustments. We all know that, because you can't play the way you played last night and to expect to beat this basketball team. Now, not having Steph Curry kind of, takes one of their great elements away. But if you want to be a 3-point shooting team, you allow this team without Steph Curry to stay in the series.
I'm maybe on an island here, and I've gotten a couple people that are already mocking me from when I said it earlier. I don't believe the Golden State can beat the Wolves without Steph Curry. I understand they did it last night. I saw it. I watched it. But, you go into halftime, and I'm sure the Wolves knew that Curry was out for the game because Golden State made the announcement right away that he will not return. So when the coaches are saying, hey, 30's out, they're not going to have him the rest of the night. Would you almost rather the team not know that? Because you almost wonder, Curry's out, and we're only down 12, and we couldn't make anything? All right, we got 24 minutes without Steph Curry. I just wonder psychologically if there is just a natural, okay, it's not as dire as we think because Steph's not going to be bombing.
Right? When you say all of a sudden, well, this team is down one of their best players, we don't have to play as hard now. You do. Because, Draymond Green, they're going to play hard.
Yep.
Draymond has, 4 NBA championship rings. Jimmy Butler has gone to 2 NBA finals. He took a team that no one gave a chance to get to the NBA finals. You look at Gary Payton III. He has the NBA championship ring. Kevon Looney has the NBA championship ring. There are a number of guys over there who are still playing. They have been in tough playoff type situations. Steve Kerr has been one of the winningest coaches over the last decade or so. Okay? This is a team, whether they have Steph Curry or not, they are going to play hard. They're going to test you. They're going to force you. They're going to put you in a situation where things are going to be hard. And they're going to make you execute to beat them. They may lack talent here or there, but the one thing they will not lack is energy and effort. And that's what you have to match.
We, in the next hour, we will get into what kind of defensive adjustments can the Wolves make. Obviously, we know they have to make offensive adjustments. We'll dive into that, but I want to take a break from the Wolves as we move into the 10 o'clock hour. The last couple of nights have given us some remarkable closing basketball action, more in the last two nights than sometimes we see in an entire playoffs. And it's kind of rocked the league as these road teams have had stunning comebacks. So we'll dive into the other three series, two of which resume with home teams needing wins tonight. We will dive into all those when we come back. Hour number 2 in the zone on a Wednesday for the Paul Allen Project.
It's almost Mother's Day, and you can now get anything you need delivered with Uber Eats. Well, almost anything. So no, you can't order a relaxing shower, but some beautiful flowers, you bet we deliver those. A bird bath? No. A bath bomb? Absolutely. It's no to a chocolate lab, but yes to some chocolate truffles. So whether it's a last-minute gift for Mother's Day, fresh groceries, or food from your favorite restaurants, get it delivered today with Uber Eats. Order now. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
Okay, have you heard about this? Last year, Degree changed the formula for their Cool Rush deodorant. Their fans rebelled and wanted the old scent back. And Degree listened. That doesn't happen often.
They admitted that they effed up and are bringing the original Cool Rush scent back. And it's exactly how you remember it. Cool, crisp, and fresh. There's a reason it's the #1 men's antiperspirant, and it's back in Walmart, Target, and other stores for under $4.
So try it and see what the fuss is about. Head to your local stores to try the OG Cool Rush for yourself.
Do you own a business that's ready to thrive? It's time to let Intuit QuickBooks take things like unpaid invoices and tracking expenses off your plate so you can take things to the next level. Intuit QuickBooks is an all-in-one business platform that can help with those day-to-day tasks like invoicing and expenses. Manage and grow your business all in one place. Intuit QuickBooks, your way to money. Money movement services are provided by Intuit Payments, Inc., licensed as a money transmitter by the New York State Department of Financial Services.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.